So now that you understand the filter context, you can better understand what the calculate function does. The calculate function's purpose is to manipulate the filter context, which means to overwrite it. So what the calculate function does is say, regardless of what the filter context says, I want you to pretend that the user chose this. So if you look at the calculate function down here in the blue box, you'll see that I am summing order line total just like I did before. It's the same measure that you've seen this entire time with all the previous videos. And I'm saying, regardless of what the user clicks on, pretend that they said that the category name equals beverages. Now, when you override the filter context, it's a good idea to warn the user that you've done that through the name. So let's go back to Power BI and see the calculate function and the filter context in action. So I'm going to create a new page here, blank page, and I'm going to show you this measure that I created called total sales beverages, the same one you saw on the slide. This is where I do the same math we've done the whole time, but this time I'm saying no matter what the user clicks on, no matter what the filter context says, pretend like the category name equals beverages. I'm overwriting it, and you can see calculate right there. And you'll notice that I named it total sales beverages to tell the user what I did. So when I click here and I just, add a card and I go to total sales beverages and I add it, you'll notice that now it's $286,000. So you can see that the total sales beverages is being applied. If I change this to a table visualization and I go down to the grid and I make it a little bit, use the font size to make it a little bit more visual to you, right? We can compare the total sales beverages with just the regular total sales that we've been working with the whole time. So you can see the 1.3 million compared to the $286,000. If I add a slicer here, so I change this, I click on slicer here, and I say that my slicer is going to be by year here. So that is under my date table, and I just say year, right? And again, I can make, that's probably big enough actually. So let's just see if make it a little bit bigger so you can see. Okay, all right. So that's year. If I kind of narrow my year to 2009, oh, that's nothing. How about 2008? Oh, I'm getting a little bit of data. How about 2007? Oh, I'm getting it a little bit more. Right. Now that's one filter. What happens if I take another filter and this time I make it based on category name? And I do the same thing that I did before. I go in here and under items, I make the font size just a little bit bigger so you can read it. Okay. Now, notice that with the date filter, they're both being affected, right? Okay. With the category name filter, though, only total sales is being affected, right? And if I make this wider so you can see that it's all of my sales, right? So this is, you know, the 1.3 million, $286,000. If I click beverages, they're both the same. If I click condiments, now total sales is different, but beverages stayed the same. So you can see that the year filter is being applied to both, but but the calculate function is overwriting it when I change the filter based on a category name, right? So let's just go ahead and look at the DAX one more time so that you can see how clearly that is overwriting it, right? Okay. And that is the calculate function. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the DAX online documentation for the calculate function. And if you see here, it says that calculate says, take the first expression, that's the sum, that's the aggregation that you saw me do, and then comma, filter one, comma, filter two, and then dot, dot, dot. What does that dot, dot, dot mean? What it means is that you can have multiple filters unlimited even past 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, right? You can just keep filtering into the calculate function. So let's take a look at that in action. If we go back to Power BI, you'll notice that I created a measure called total sales beverages in the USA. Again, I named it to warn the user that I'm overriding the filter context and I'm saying sum the order line total, just like we've done for every video. And then again, product name equals beverages, just like we just did, comma, this time, take the sales customers table, look at the country column, and pretend like the user clicked on USA. So if I go back to my visualization in my table that you saw before, and I click that total sales beverages in the USA, let's go ahead and make this lower. Let's make this a little bit wider so you can see. You can see that I'm narrowing down a little bit farther. Maybe if I change the order of this, total sales, let's clear the filter context a little bit. 1.3 million, just like it's always been. $286,000 for beverages, and then further narrowed to USA, $63,000 in the USA, right? And now if I click back here into the the year filter that I had before, and I say, what was it for just 2007, right? You can see that's the beverages total sales for 2007, and in the US, $22,000, right? So you can see the year is still being applied, but then if we, widen that up a little bit, if we go back to condiments, beverages is still being overridden by calculate, and of course this further one's being overridden by region, right? And there you go. I know this video is a little longer than typical, but I think it was important to emphasize what the calculate function did by repetition and by explaining it several different ways. If you're still confused by this, please ask your question down in the comments below. Thanks.
And finally, this is how you can get a hold of me if you need to. There's my Twitter and my email address, and of course my YouTube channel if you want to subscribe and get more videos on DAX and Power Apps and data engineering and cloud data and other things that interest me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks. Have a great day.